The Secret of the Cherubs, Cherubs. And the reason I'm going to call it The Secret of the Cherubs is because you remember that movie? It was an old movie, again, end of the 20th century. It got replayed again the beginning of the 21st century. It was called The Raiders of the Lost Ark. And the Ark was the Ark of the Covenant. And the Ark of the Covenant was the great Ark in the temple in Jerusalem. And above the Ark of the Covenant, right, Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is Indiana Jones searching, right, for the Lost Ark, right, searching for, right, the deep liberation, the return to Eden. That's the Grail quest. So what's their quest for the Grail? What's the quest for the Lost Ark? So above the Ark of the Covenant, right, in the great temple in Jerusalem, were two sexually intertwisted cherubs. And these cherubs, far from the angelic Hallmark card version, were engaged in passionate sexuality, in passionate sexing. And in the words of the sacred text, in the voice of spirit, and the voice of meaning, the voice of meaning and spirit emerges from between the sexually intertwisted cherubs. Now, that's a much different view of the world. That's a view of the world which emerges in the Yab-Yum paintings or icons in the Hindu temples, the sexually intertwisted cherubs, right? The image which understands that sexuality is actually not something that emerges from a sadistic God who gives us the sense that there's pleasure available, but no one really knows how to get it. But it doesn't come from the sadistic God, right, who tells a teenager, you have these beautiful, right, organs which give you enormous pleasure, right, a cock, a penis, or a clitoris, right, the wetness, right, of a woman, right, and don't touch it. It's immoral. It's sinful. I put it there to test you, right? Well, that's the image of a sadistic universe. Actually, right, the image of the universe is sexuality. It's placed at the very center of our existence because in this deeper understanding, this third understanding, which we're going to call the secret of the cherubs, right, we actually understand that sex is the source of all wisdom. And as one great text writes, if none of the great wisdoms were given, if there was no Torah, there was no Tao, there were no great wisdom traditions, we would learn all wisdom, all depth, all meaning, all spirit from sexuality itself. That sexuality is not just something which is good. We don't want to just say that we're sex positive. We don't want to just move beyond, right, the moralists to the libertines. We want to actually access the secret of the cherubs, in which we actually begin to understand that sex is the source of all life, all wisdom. Sex is the power that creates life. And even when you're not procreating, when you're not engaged in sexual procreation, sex doesn't only become recreation. Sex can be recreation in a very beautiful and sacred way, but it's not merely recreation, right? Even when it's recreation, it's always sacred. Sex is always a process of co-creation. We're always creating a reality. We're creating a reality in the world. We're creating a reality interpersonally in intimacy. We're creating a reality inside our hearts and minds and bodies. Sex is the core model for all wisdom. And the Grail quest, the search for the Holy Grail, the Grail is in Hebrew a cup, a kos. And kos, right, means kus. And kus means sexuality, sexing. It actually means vagina, literally in Hebrew. But what the Grail quest is the curves of the goblet are the curves, right, of sexuality. And the Grail quest is the seeking of sex without shame, of liberating sexuality so sexuality becomes actually the source of all wisdom. Listen again, my friends, to the Zen master Ikkyu. Right? Ikkyu writes, Rinzai's disciples never got the Zen message, but I, the blind donkey, know the truth. Love play, sexing can make you immortal. The autumn breeze of a single night of love is better than 100,000 years of sterile sitting meditation. Right? Enter a whorehouse and great wisdom will explode upon you. Manjushri should have let Ananda enjoy himself in the whorehouse. Now he will never know the joys or the wisdom of elegant love play. Now again, we're not suggesting that you go today to a whorehouse. What we're suggesting is, and that's of course what Ikkyu meant, right? And he was using whorehouse as an image for sex itself as the source of all wisdom. Like in the great teaching of Kabbalah, Isaac the blind writes, "He who doesn't passionately desire sex is similar to a donkey or less than a donkey, for all spirit and meaning is learned from sexuality." What a different position, right? Every great tradition has this secret tradition that we've lost when we actually begin to realize that actually sex is happening all the time. And sex that we have physically is but the physical sexual expression of the core structure of the universe. That actually sex, or sexing, or what we might even call, and I want to use a dramatic word now, fuck. When I say fuck, I don't mean fucking around. I mean fuck as that alive, awake word which is actually happening in every moment of reality. In every moment of reality, there's masculine and